What's up, guys? It's your boy Alexander, and today I'm going to be reacting to Hey Arnold, the Furnace, Nickelodeon Lost Episode, Creepypasta. Let's do it. I never heard of this last episode. Can't wait to see what it brings us.
I grew up in the 90s, and my days after school were filled with Nicktoons. Flash forward 15 years or so, and I'm browsing the movie section at a local Walmart when I'm hit with a wall of nostalgia.
Okay.
Sitting on the shelf is a complete series of Hey Arnold.
Oh, that's cool.
I had a shitty job, though. They wanted $20.
Oh my god.
In my mind, that translated to 2 hours of work. I decided to be incredibly stingy and instead go home to YouTube for some episodes, satisfying my urge to remember when times were
simpler. Buying some DVDs.
It was a mistake.
What about that?
And I won't soon forget it. I got home, made some popcorn, powered up my laptop, began the search. With a simple click, every episode was before me. Satisfied, I began to watch, episode by episode. It was well into dark, and I was about to close the laptop when I noticed a video in the suggested video list that simply read, Hey Arnold, L.E. Sure, that L.E. must have stood for Lost Episode or something. Well, yeah, I clicked on the video, excited to see an episode I never had before. When the page opened, it said in the box that the video had been removed, with that half-assed, sorry, not sorry, frowning red box staring at me. Further curiosity, led me to scroll down to the comments section for clues. There weren't that many views, so unsurprisingly, there were only a few comments. The first two more or less expressed horror and confusion as to what they just watched.
A lot of gore. I don't know.
But the third one caught my eye. It was from the original poster of the video, and he explained the video had been removed, but it could still be watched on his site, and he provided a link. I always had a fear of those, believing it'd be a virus, but pounding curiosity got the better of me. I decided to click anyway. It led me to a site of which I can't remember the name. It seemed typical. Basic layout with tabs and ads. In the middle, though, was a small box to click on with a play arrow. I clicked and the video went full screen and began to play.
Okay.
It began to ease my paranoia, and I sat back as I thought I was about to have a chapter of cartoon memories added to my collection. I had no idea what followed, but it was nothing short of terrifying. It rocked me to the very core. The video started out with a simple text that read, "What you are about to watch is what creators of the hit show Hey Arnold intended to be the original series finale." It angered and frightened Nickelodeon executives, and the episode was never aired as such.
I wonder why.
If you can't handle it, then you're suggested to leave. You have been warned. I was concerned by this, but pushed it from my mind as the upbeat jazz tempo rang out, and the theme song began. It was introduced as The Furnace.
The Furnace, huh?
The show itself started out with Arnold's teacher with the class outside teaching them about chemical reactions and using them to launch a rocket.
Okay.
Harold expresses he wants to launch the rocket, but the teacher declines, saying there's no time, and leaves to put up the supplies as the bell rings. It then cuts to Harold, Sid, and Stinky opening the supply cabinet, stealing some rockets and the chemicals, and walking out vowing to make a big blast-off.
You mean like fireworks?
It was at this point I began to realize something. This episode looked familiar. I got on my phone, did a little research, and quickly found that it was an episode that aired with the final season of the program.
Final season, huh?
I was beyond pissed, but decided to watch anyway since I figured my computer was already infested with whatever virus the page carried anyhow. I clicked play again. The boys had stolen the supplies and went behind an abandoned police station to blow the rocket, which, coincidentally, Ernie, one of Arnold's tenants, who's a demolition man, is set to destroy by explosives. The boys launch the rocket, and it goes in the building, which the boys do not know is abandoned, and it blows up due to the demolition. The boys stupidly believe it was their rocket that did the damage. They believe they killed several officers, and that they're now wanted.
Who knows what is investigating that building.
This is where things began to get really strange. The video paused shortly. I moved my arrow to reveal that indeed the video was still playing. Soon it began again, only now the quality had changed. It seemed like a cutover. Stinky Nut on the ground crying, exclaiming that they should go to the police. Harold berates them for this, claiming they will be sentenced to the death penalty.
Well,
We just killed the police, you idiot! He screams, clearly angry.
Yeah, you don't want to get in trouble.
The scene continues as Stinky begins to walk off sobbing and claiming he plans to find the nearest officer to tell him what happened.
Oh
It was
my
only a
God.
mistake. Harold becomes enraged as he often does in the
impressed someone's
program.
doing the right thing.
This time he charges Stinky and tackles him from behind.
Oh my God.
Stinky
Why would
begins
you
to
do
put up
that?
a fight, but is no match for the much larger boy, especially since he's face first on the sidewalk. Sid, Harold yells, help! Sid runs in front of the action, clearly confused and scared, and asks what he wants him to do. I should add at this point, I was becoming confused and uneasy. I'm a diehard fan of the series, but I can't recall any of this. That rock,
Man.
grab it! Sid looks down as the struggle continues and sees a large rock laying by a dumpster. He hesitates. Do it, Harold commands, or I'll pound you. Clearly terrified
Okay,
at this point,
MC,
Sid
he's got
picks up
some
the rock.
death threats.
You can see Sid's eyes grow large and resistance sets in as Harold says, okay, Sid, I'll hold him while you bash his skull with the rock. Sid can't move his stinky laser with his scraped up face from the struggle, desperately
Ouch.
begging for his life while sobbing uncontrollably. Harold begins to plead to Sid and tells him if Stinky got away, they'd never see their parents again. You mix the chemicals. You're just as responsible as I am, Harold screams.
Okay, so there's death
Kill him!
threats and he's
Sid drops to
trying
his
to kill
knees,
him. Oh my
brings the
God.
rock above his head, and begins to bash Stinky's brains in.
Ouch.
He closes
Ooh.
his eyes, tears flowing around them, and
Okay, and
screams,
torture.
I'm
Okay,
sorry, over and over, all the while continuously smashing Stinky's head with the rock. He brings the rock down one last time. He sits back, chin tucked down in pure guilt, as Harold breathes heavily, finally able to rest on top of the lifeless body below him. They sit there a moment in silence while Sid simply whispers, I'm sorry. They hear
Wait a minute,
sirens
you-
in the background,
they killed
and not
him?
knowing it's
Oh my
unrelated to
God.
them, Harold begins to panic. Sid, still crying, begins to ask
Oh,
frantically
never.
what they should do. Harold says they need to get out of there. They throw Stinky's body in a dumpster and hightail it out of there. Stinky's blood still
They probably gotta
freshly
get arrested for all
pooled on
this.
the alleyway sidewalk. They run until Sid sees what he believes to be their salvation, Arnold's house. They climb in through a window that drops into the basement. They scramble around and hide when they hear the door at the top of the stairs open. Harold hides behind some boxes and Sid hides beside the stairs. Sid sits with his knees up to his chest and his head between them, as if he were broken. Arnold comes through the door exclaiming to his grandpa that he's going to do some laundry and begins descending the stairs unaware that he's not alone.
Okay.
He reaches
but
the end of the stairs and hears something behind
any
him.
of the parents
He
don't know
turns
what
to
the
find
heck is
Sid
going on.
sitting there crying with his head between his knees. Arnold appears confused and a little on edge. Sid? Arnold asks. Is that you? We killed him, Arnold, Sid says softly in a
Say
whimper.
what?
We killed Stinky and left his body in the garbage. No God will forgive us now.
Oh, I see. He's trying to keep this a
Clearly in
secret.
shock and scared out of his mind, Arnold is unable to call for help. Then he hears it. Footsteps approaching from behind, and then rage-induced breathing so close he can almost feel it as the footsteps cease. He turns slowly and stares into the eyes of Harold, who beams down on him with irritation and anger. Changes scene to Arnold being tied to a chair with duct tape around his mouth as you hear the upstairs door opening. You can see the fear in his eyes as muffled screams desperately try to escape the tape. Grandpa comes down the steps and, probably due to some senility, as is often played on in the show, believes Arnold is just playing a game. He
No,
talks
that
about
doesn't
the
sound like a
game
game
and
at
he
all.
laughs
That
as
sounds
he
like
exits out
torture
the
to me.
door. Laughing about the imagination of youth. As Arnold struggles against his restraints and mutely screams for his life to deaf ears. He has no idea it will be the last time he'll see his grandson alive.
So they're gonna kill him or something?
Just playing a game. Out of the back, you can see the boys exit from under the staircase. It cuts to a point of view from Arnold as he stares into the dimly lit basement. Sid and Harold enter the shot from each side and stare down at Arnold. Sid looks scared as he shakily asks Harold what they'll do. Harold looks at Arnold with that same angry look on his face and says, I'm sorry, Arnold, but no one is sending me to jail.
Oh,
The
okay,
screen
so I
goes
see what's going on.
black.
They're trying to
It
fight.
opens up with a downshot of the basement as Harold closes the
Make
door
sure
to the
nobody
furnace.
knows
The chair
authorities
sits
are in
empty
there.
now with the rope cut up and lying on the floor. Some blood is on the chair and floor around it. Sid kneels on the ground, absolutely crying. How could we do this? They were our friends. Harold appears to feel little guilt as he explains to Sid that they had to do it or they would have been locked up.
Well,
Next little bit of the show is the mashup of Sid crying, Harold pacing, wondering what to do, and Sid looking at a knife of Grandpa's sitting on the workbench with almost the look of acceptance on his face. So then you hear a slicing sound, and worried, Harold rushes over and looks beside the staircase. There, leaned against the wall, is Sid with his throat slit in a gruesome suicide.
Holy shit. Really?
Harold looks at the scene in shock at first, and then spiteful determination as he claims to his dead friend, "Fine, I'll do it alone then."
Uh-oh.
He then hears loud conversation coming from upstairs just beyond the door, and worries it may be someone inquiring about Arnold. He sneaks up the stairs to listen, but no mention of Arnold is made. Instead, he hears Ernie bragging to the rest of the tenants how he'd blown up an old abandoned police station that day.
Wait, that was an abandoned police station? No way.
Then the tears began. His head flooded with guilt as he realized he murdered 2 of his friends that day and lost another simply due to a misunderstanding. He walked down the steps and sat on the last one. He hung his head in pure shame. The scene opens to an over-the-shoulder view of Grandpa as he opens the basement door. He shouts to Arnold that dinner is ready and gets no response as he notices the chair at the bottom of the stairs is empty. He descends the stairs, and when he gets closer, notices the rope and blood surrounding the chair. He finishes his descent, fixated on the chair, stands next to it, staring in confusion and worry. He double glances around the room, looking for Arnold, when his eyes fixate on something a few feet in front of him.
What was it?
It's Harold, hanging from the ceiling, swaying back and forth ever so slightly.
Oh my god.
Grandpa moves toward Harold in shock, unable to express any emotion.
He's dead?
As he nears him, he puts his hand up to touch Harold, almost as if to ensure what he's seeing is real. Before he touches Harold, he notices something behind the boy to the right, a folded-up piece of paper taped to the furnace. He approaches the furnace slowly,
Are you sure you want
afraid
to do that?
to find more horrors. Retrieves the note. Simply reads, "Aren't you glad it was just a game?"
I'm gonna say
the camera
this was
cuts to inside the furnace, facing out. It's pitch black as the doors
should
close.
be ashamed of this.
You can see part of Grandpa through 3 rectangular holes that act as a vent. The furnace latch unlocks loudly. The door creaks open slowly. Grandpa's jaw closes and begins to quiver as he stares at what lays inside.
Yeah, he's probably terrified about that.
The only hint given is a hand with a sleeve the same color of Arnold's shirt pulled up. And the hand and sleeve slightly soaked with blood. You look in Grandpa's eyes as he presumably looks upon his only grandson, the only remnants of his long-deceased son.
Well, I mean, his grandpa's really
as he
grieving
lays
about
mutilated
that.
in the furnace.
This is some
The
traumatizing
video cuts
stuff.
to black. I closed the window and slammed my laptop shut as a small part of my diminishing childhood died.
Well, yeah.
Everything was
These
normal
are the
after
most
that. I
community
never researched the video or tried to find it again. I just really didn't care to, as I figured it was a lousy, albeit disturbing, knockoff made by some overweight nobody in his mother's basement. After a couple weeks, though, I decided to buy the
whoever
series,
created this should be
determined
arrested.
to not allow my childhood to be destroyed by one incident.
You know, whoever made
I
the
began
episode,
to watch
last
episode after
should be
episode
arrested.
until I came upon one in the last season. It was titled On the Lam. It was the episode the knockoff was based on, or vice versa, perhaps. I didn't remember much from the episode, but as it played, I began to feel disturbed. Similarities between the two were...
I honestly feel traumatized about all that. Man, what they did was super crazy, and whoever who animated this episode or anything like that should be like need help or get arrested about all this. Anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.